Okay, so I see many known faces without seeing your faces. So thanks a lot for joining this session today. So first of all, good afternoon to everybody and a very, very warm welcome to this Smart Anything Everywhere session. So it's on the vision, opportunities and success stories of this initiative. And my name is Maike Reimann from Steinbeis to I in Germany. I'm also the coordinator of the CSA supporting this initiative, the Smart for Europe 2 CSA. And together with Isabel Dor, whom you can also see on that little picture there, we're going to take you through the next 2 hours. I must warn you, they're quite full of condensed information, so you might need a few coffees in between. But don't worry, we're going to record this session and we're also going to share the slides thereafter. Maybe also good to know for the presenters, we're planning to really record this and also share it thereafter. You can always come back to me if this is not okay with you. Maybe Isabel, you want to give a little hello here too before I dive into the agenda? You're muted.
Okay. So hi, I'm Isabella from CA. I'm very, very pleased to welcome you on this Smart Anything Everywhere initiative session. So I'm at CA, as I said, sorry, and I'm quite involved in the CSA and in some of the innovation actions that started nearly 5 years ago, and some of the and for new one running right now. So welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think what are we going to hear about today? So let's have a look at the agenda. So first of all, we're going to have an overview on the EC digital strategy with focus on digital innovation hubs. For this, we have invited a representative from the European Commission. This is Matthias Kuhm. Thank you very much for your availability to tell us about this. So he will give us some updates on the upcoming program, but also set the context in a way for what is a digital innovation hub or what is the strategy behind. Then I'm gonna introduce you to the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative as such and its activities, and also on the CSA, which I'm coordinating, Smart for Europe. And thereafter, the innovation actions, which are part of that initiative, will present themselves. And here, maybe just to say, it's all the running ones, all the ones running right now will present themselves. They're in slightly different topics to help digitization throughout Europe. So the Tetramax one is on computing, Smarties is on flexibles and wearables, DigiFED, HUBCAP and DIH for CPS are on CPS, Smart for All again on computing, and the BOWI is a special one which takes care of the widening, like reaching a good coverage throughout Europe. We're then going to close with like looking beyond the SAE initiative. This is introducing the I-From-S initiative, which is quite similar, but today we're focusing more on the SAE, but just to give you a glance at the other one as well, because for the audience, it might be just as interesting. So then you can have a look at the overall ecosystem here. We plan to end with a Q&A session, but maybe just to say there is a Q&A tool. So we will not be able to hear the audience at all. So you will unfortunately not get a voice, but you can put your questions in the Q&A tool. We might answer such questions already during the presentations, but we plan to, after each and every presentation, to have a little answering of those Q&As. And maybe there's still questions left for the very end Q&A session then. So I would say we have a very packed agenda, so it would be good to start right away. And while Dory will be putting up the next slides already, maybe just as a little guideline to the speakers, of course, have their 7 minutes. Please stay within, because otherwise we will run into problems. Questions are asked via the tool and we will do our best to answer them. Okay, so I see Matthias already in the picture and the presentation is also coming up. So please, I'm giving the word to Matthias for the overview on digital strategy with focus on DIHs.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Michael, for the invitation. I would like to start with the first slide, which shows, on the one hand, our digital strategy, which we have published in February this year. But what I want to highlight is what, well, it's more or less obvious, but I think it's always important to have in mind that after the publication of the strategy, we had this increased pandemic, and therefore we are now not looking only at the different measures that we have planned for the midterm financial framework like Horizon Europe and Digital Europe, but also these additional measures under the Next Generation EU package. So this is important for the whole framework. And if you go to the next slide, you can also see what this, for example, means for our SME strategy. We still have to focus on sustainability and digitization, of course. That's still the core. But there's now an additional aspect of resilience, and some also talk about sovereignty in some of our important value changes. And this is what now also influences all our strategy and program development. But let's go back to the digital strategy with the next slide. I like to start with our commissioner, Thierry Breton, who says that it's important that especially the SMEs make a good use of data to create value for themselves, value for Europeans. And for him, data is the basis of everything, of artificial intelligence, of each and every service. You always have to know the underlying data and make it best effort usable. And if you go to the next slide, you may see a picture that's often in one of our presentations here from the Commission, that Europe has here everything that is needed to be successful in this data economy, because we are talking here not so much about the social media and privacy oriented data, but industrial data. And here we have already a good starting position. And with the shift we will see from a more cloud-based approach to a more edge-based approach, we think the European position might hopefully even get better. If you go to the next slide, you see that under this focus on data, we have in our digital strategy 4 pillars. The one is on a cross-sectoral framework for data access. The second one is the investment in enablers. Here we have our new Digital Europe program, which is not a research and innovation program, but a program that supports the development and investment in new technologies. And of course, also the competence development is an important aspect in the third pillar. And the fourth pillar is more than on the really rollout of data spaces, which is not only the infrastructure, which is in the second pillar, but also the governance aspects. So these are the main pillars here for how we want to make Europe better in this data economy. And if you then go to the next slide, here you see also what we think are the main topics of this new Digital Europe program, what we want to achieve with this. And one aspect is here to support SMEs to acquire or access the latest technologies and skills. And well, if you go to the next slide, this is just where we are currently standing. We have revised orientations that took also into consideration the recovery plan, and we are currently preparing our work programs, not only for Horizon, but also for this Digital Europe program. And in this work program, one aspect is, of course, the European Digital Innovation Hub. And if we go to the next slide, you may be familiar with this one. Here you see, once again, the portfolio we think is the basis for the establishment of such a Digital Innovation Hub. main aspect is still this test before invest. So to give SMEs an easy opportunity to experiment with new technologies to test how they fit their requirements, but also the other parts like support to find investment, skills and training, and also this networking are important. And please go to the next slide. You see that we had originally the plan to have a network of up to 240 hubs. Now we have a reduction in the budget, and we have started discussions with member states what this could then mean. Should we reduce the number of hubs? Should we reduce the budget per hub? So here the discussion is ongoing, but there's a tendency for this option one that we will reduce the number of hubs that are directly supported by the Digital Europe program and keep the budget per hub. So to then still have a good reach out, we will also hopefully establish a kind of label so that also fully nationally supported hubs can get this label as a European Digital Innovation Hub. If we go to the next slide, here it's the emphasis on this EU local approach. So each hub shall mainly address its region, the demands in its region. And if you don't have the competence to solve all the needs that are there in his region, then he can rely on a European network where we have specialization, hopefully, in lots of different topics. If you go to the next slide, here you can see how we expect that this specialization will take place. So there's a specialization on application areas, and there's also a specialization on different types of technology. Well, you should, as an European Digital Innovation Hub, have basic knowledge in all the relevant technologies that are listed in the Digital Europe program, but you should also focus on some technologies where I think you're really leading the topic and can also be an anchor point for requests from others. So this is, if you go to the next slide, then also a slight trade-off maybe between this local added value and the European added value, but we think with the approach we have described in our program, we can address this very well. If you go to the next slide, you see then what this means in from the time scale. We expect the adoption of the next financial framework in mid-November, and we have discussed with member states that they shall give us their candidates list till the beginning of December. So we expect then to have the first work program for this Digital Europe adopted on the 28th of January next year. And then there would be 3 months time for the submission of your proposals. And we expect the first contracts to be signed, hopefully already in October this 2021, so next year. And we will also have then at the end of next year, the second call for the next round of European Digital Innovation Hubs. On the next slide, you see that we are also planning a big online event. Some of you may have already heard that this was planned for the beginning of November, but as we have now a little bit of a delay in the adoption of the financial framework, we have now postponed this event to mid-January, so maybe the second week of January. We still have to find a date. There we will have a conference that is where we on the one hand want to explain our programmatic ideas and also give you lots of opportunities to network with all the other candidates and proposals. So this was my introduction to, well, the framework that we are working in and what we are currently planning with regards to the European Digital Innovation Hubs. And now I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Matthias. So maybe the organizer could tell me if I'm right, that I'm not seeing any questions, but maybe you still want to type some in because the people who are not presenters cannot raise their voice. In case anybody else sees question, of course, you can also read them out, but I'm for now not seeing any questions. So maybe I'm just gonna let Matthias confirm from my side. So I'm gonna kind of ask you a question. So the confirmation I would like to have is like in the Digital Europe program, this is gonna be the European Digital Innovation Hubs. So this is what you have described right now, also with a timeline, and interesting for many people and regions to build such European Digital Innovation Hubs. On the other side, the Digital Innovation Hubs, as we have them right now in Smart Anything Everywhere and I4MS, will still be there. They will be in the Horizon Europe program, right?
Right.
Okay.
So we have on the one hand the hubs that have running contract and will still be able to do open calls and experiments and so on. Of course, we will also have in the Horizon Europe program some new calls that are more similar to that what we have done in Horizon 2020, which will give more freedom to these experiments than these European Digital Innovation Hubs in the Digital Europe program will have, because they have to address more broader scope. So yes, there is this complementation also with this Horizon Europe calls that we will still have in the next financial period.
Okay, great to know. But there's no real timeline for the first calls there now, right? This is still to come.
This is still to come. Here, yeah, I currently don't know exactly the timeline. I'm here not directly responsible, but if it's of interest, I will check what is the current status here.
So I have a question in the chat now, so you can maybe also use the chat if the question and answers tool doesn't suit you so well. So this question here is, it's a quite broad question, but you would have to give a quick answer to that. Which are the financial sustainability strategy or perspective with regard to the EDIH? Are there any concrete expectations? So not an easy question maybe, but maybe you can do a short answer nevertheless.
Financial sustainability, well, it's always important, but for the Digital Europe program, we don't have a specific focus here, because we think with 7 years funding period, we will have a lot of time to address this. And in the beginning, the services shall be mainly for free. And if this then can be developed into a more sustainable service, we have to see. But maybe in 7 years, we'll have a complete different topic. So it's a little bit early to really think about this now.
Okay, so very good to know. For this roll up, the funding is there for the moment. And then after the 7 years period, of course, it is to see how this will evolve. I just got a chat from the organizer that you can also raise your hands and we might give you the microphone then. But for now,
maybe the answer on this question on dates. Well, the 28th is not confirmed but planned, and our meeting will take place before that, of course. Yes.
Okay, great. So I have another question, right, which you have seen already. So when the meeting will exactly is planned, and you answered that one already. Thank you very much. Okay, so not seeing any other questions and having a dense program anyway, I think, Matthias, you will still stay online for the whole session, or will you be leaving? Okay, so any other questions can still be made or at the very end also. So I will now then share my presentation with you. So let's see if this is the one. All right. Okay, so I hope you can see my presentation now. If not, somebody would have to tell me. For me, it looks like it. So I'm going to now give you a little overview on the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative as such, which is empowering SMEs in the digital age. I would have to go there to switch slides. Okay, so there is, of course, a strategy behind. So it's a Digitizing European Industry initiative with the mission to ensure that any industry in Europe, wherever situated, and in any sector can fully benefit from digital innovations. So this is the mission behind it. And then the Digitizing European Industry initiative is built on, here's the camera, on 5 pillars. So in the middle, we have the European platform of the national initiatives. So they come together to really build the overall strategy. Then we have the industrial platforms, we have skills, we have regulatory and framework. And here, this 5th pillar in a way is the digital innovation hubs. So this is where we're going to focus on today. And just to remind you, but Matthias already said it, a digital innovation hub is kind of a competence center, but more. So they're having test beds to test before invest, like to make SMEs or mid-caps also test their ideas. So skills and training is also provided here, support to find investments and connection to innovation ecosystems. So here again, the plan is to really support digital innovation hubs or digital innovation hub support companies, in particular startups, SMEs and mid-caps, in future also public organizations in their digital transformation. Now, how is this then going? So there's individual digital innovation hubs which can support companies even independently of any initiative. But then there are those European initiatives who support this. So this is I4S, which is older than Smart Anything Everywhere. Smart Anything Everywhere is there since 2015. And they kind of have innovation actions, which are funded actions, which then already build networks of such digital innovation hubs, which provide expertise and cascade funding through open calls to support SMEs and mid-caps there, and also startups now. These initiatives also have CSAs. So each of them has 1 CSA. And this is to support and consolidate the pan-European network of digital innovation hubs, to also attract stakeholders and to build the whole ecosystem around it. So I know we have a diverse audience here. So not all of you are SMEs. So for SMEs, of course, the benefit is quite good to have those open calls, to get the cascade funding, to get the expertise from the innovation actions. But it's not only them who can benefit from it. And this is why I have some slides for you showing how other people can also benefit, and also to call on all of you to really connect to this initiative. So if you are in future public organization, right now it's more a startup, SME or mid-cap, how can you benefit? So you can experiment. So you can get access to experimentation facilities to do the testing before investing, before you spend money, too much money on it. So you can also get the knowledge and expertise from those experts in the innovation actions and the ecosystem. You can network with the ecosystem. And very important for you maybe is you can get funding there through the open calls and find further investment thereafter. If you are already a digital innovation hub and are not yet in such a project, in such an innovation action, you can still become part in the ecosystem. You can benefit from the network opportunities, you can share your knowledge there, you can take part in collaboration meetings, whatever. You can also provide your services and see if there's a win-win, and you can take part or do mentoring and training programs. If you're a fresh DIH, you can kind of get the expertise on how to get in DIH or how to get sustainable there. If you're an academic, you can share your knowledge and expertise there, connect with the ecosystem, do networking, and there's also a special feature we have, which is the technology radar. So here we're looking for what are the future technologies, what is the roadmap, where should we go next to support SMEs in future. And here I must also say, we do have a meeting next week. This is on the 26th, which is elaborating on this technology radar. And you can find, register for that on our innovation portal or connect directly to me, and I will kind of show you how to register. So this might be interesting also for academics. Then if you're an investor, you can get access to very innovative developments. You can connect to our ecosystem, and you can participate in specific investors events. So what we're doing here is really showcasing the outcomes and the success stories of those open call application experiments. You will see the outcomes there. They're typically on a technology readiness level, which will kind of be very close to market already. And then you can be the ones to kind of close that gap and be the investor after such a successful outcome of such an experiment. If you're a policymaker, coming, let's say, from national or regional initiatives on digital innovation hubs, you can link to the European Commission. Of course, you can link via other ways too, but maybe you're just a small initiative being interested, so you can also connect to the ecosystem. You can develop your strategy together with the other initiatives and the EC, and you can exchange on innovative support mechanisms. So this is to say, this initiative, although it mainly focuses on supporting SMEs and mid-caps to become digitized, but there's something in for other stakeholders too. So please connect wherever you come from. Now I'm going to give you a glance on how all of that works. So the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative has the two aims, like to support European startups, mid-caps, SMEs in the digital transformation, but also to build and consolidate an overall sustainable pan-European network of those hubs. These are the overarching aims, and for this, innovation actions and the CSA in each phase is funded. So phase 1 is over, the projects are closed. Phase 2, we still have 2 projects running there, which will be presented today. Phase 3, so the proposals have been in 2019, but all the projects started on 1st of January 20. So we have the 6 new innovation actions or CSA here, and all of these are kind of presented today, what they have to offer for you. This is the overall ecosystem. You can see we have technologies in the middle, like the different projects are around those technologies, supporting SMEs, mid-caps, and startups. Just again to show you what are the technologies behind. So the innovation actions focus on cyber physical and embedded systems. We have 4 running right now. Customized low energy computing, powering cyber physical systems and the Internet of Things. We have 2 running right now. Flexible and wearable electronics, organic large area electronics. There's 1 project around, and the widening digital innovation hubs innovation action is the BOWI one. They all have money to offer to startups, SMEs, and mid-caps in terms of cascade funding. Just to make you show that each of these projects, of course, has a whole consortium behind them. So what we did to make you see that better is if you go onto our innovation portal, you have an interactive map. You can click each of the projects to see what are the partners there. And you also have the different areas, like is it cyber physical systems or is it on flexible wearable electronics? You will find different colors for that. And you can kind of do a deep dive of who is in this overall ecosystem. And as each and every innovation action has money to provide to SMEs and mid-caps, we kind of did an overview of that on the innovation portal. It's also clickable in terms of technology. If you know already you're interested in CPS, then you can put CPS there, and then you will find the open calls which are related to CPS. Just a short glance at the CSA as such. So this is the CSA I'm coordinating from Steinbeis. We have those 7 very nice partners, and we're all across Europe and very, very motivated to help the innovation actions, but also the whole ecosystem around us. So whoever is interested, you can come via us as an entry point. We will or already integrate you in one or the other way, or lead you to the innovation actions that you're interested in. So I'm providing many contacts and links later on, and these will also be shared. So our objectives are more or less to do enabling services for the whole ecosystem. So we have this innovation portal, marketplace, service center, but we also do collaboration events and dissemination. This is what we're doing right now. We're sharing best practices within the SAE ecosystem, but also together with I4MS. We're growing the ecosystem, like we're attracting stakeholders, investors, we're liaising to other projects to multiply the impacts. And we're also working on sustainability, like linking to national regional initiatives, linking to investors, and doing sustainability plans and business models. So this is kind of what the CSA does, all together with the Innovation Actions, of course. And here you can see us. So we have our former PO in the background here and somebody else from the Commission, but the rest here is our consortium. And with this, I would like to close the presentation. I have those links for you here. So I think the most important one to connect with us is via the innovation portal. So this is really giving you an overview on the calls. It's giving you an overview of the community. You can link to each and every innovation action there. There's also, of course, the funding possibilities. But I must say, so there is the funding possibilities of the innovation actions you will see right now. So of the 7 running ones, or 6 of them have open calls. But there's, of course, more to fund SMEs in open calls. So a project called DIHnet have more open calls on their page. So this includes the I4MS calls too and the robotic calls too. So if you want to go beyond that, then this is the page. And there's also a European page on it where you can screen those open calls. We have the success stories, and we also have a contact us. So you can contact us via this mail, but you can also just write an email to me. Okay, so this is where I would close. Now the question is how I can see the questions. I think I have to stop my presentation for that, or somebody will read questions to me if there are any questions in the chat.
There's no questions in the chat for the moment.
Okay.
Micah.
All right. So, I mean, yes, we're quite well in time still, but if there are no questions, I would really then give the word to Isabel, who will now chair the session for the innovation actions. So you're now going to see the offers for you for the innovation actions. And maybe I can also ask the innovation actions to not only focus on the SME aspect, but what can you bring to academics too? We will have academics here, or what can you bring to other digital innovation funds? So thank you very much. I give the word to you, Isabel.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Micah. So now we are going to welcome our innovation actions. Most of them have just started this year, but you will soon realize that at least the first one, Tetramax, started in nearly 4 years ago because it was a 4-year project. Then we will also welcome a couple of innovation actions that have a sister project of already existing innovation action. Then we'll be able to get some success stories. But first, I'd like to welcome Tetramax. Eva, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Isabel, for giving me the floor, and good afternoon, everybody. Technology transfer via multinational application experiments, simply called Tetramax, is a 4-year project focusing on customized low-energy computing for a bunch of different ICT-based application domains, such as communication technologies, health applications, and hardware or software co-design, etc. It actually started with a consortium of 23 partners based in almost all EU-funded EU countries, and present an excellent mix of complementary expertise and technologies and networking activities, but also in business generations. Oops. Now it's working. Yes. Yeah, we had 2 key activity lines, and one of those has been to build and leverage a technology brokerage network by closely collaborating with a variety of other relevant communities and initiatives with digital innovation hubs and competence centers, and of course with SMEs, not only on a European level, but also locally and regionally, to really make sure that we reach out as many of our clients related to industry and very interested in digital innovation activities as possible. The other activity line, and let's say it's been the heart of Tetramax, has been the execution of 11 open calls to stimulate and to actually grant innovative technology transfer ideas, promising ideas involving and supporting SMEs to bring technology research to the actual use and testing in a manufacturing process. I think after 3 years, or after a period of 3 years, we are really pleased to have become an attractive place to benefit from. We have become the #1 technology brokerage network and one of the first digital innovation hubs in our domain. We're offering a variety of services to SMEs, but also to academics as well, such as technology brokerage activities, searching and finding tech offers or requests, meeting others for potential joint collaborations, but also tech trainings. And I think having served more than 50 clients, and most of them are SMEs, all highly recognized our support and achieved valuable impacts for their own businesses, such as increase of revenues, new jobs have been generated, but also energy savings or new and improved products to use in their processes. All in all, these has been our 11 open calls, and taking into account all restrictions to follow within an EU-funded project timeline, the number of proposals and received and the acceptance rate of 19% is really, really good for us. And last but not least, we have also created a place for SMEs to attract investors and created this site and the details based on a bunch of investor interviews to really make sure that investors get attracted by your new technology. And to show how success based on Tetramax support looks like, we have picked out this example of a small SME. It's based in Denmark, and the support of us has led to the approval of a needed investment, and hence it received a 2.6 million investment. And they pointed out that this gave them a kind of seal for approval that you need for an investment from the beginning onwards. Another success story is this one here. Both of them are based in the Netherlands and Norway, micro SMEs. And sometimes courageous ideas are worth going, because with our financial support, this Dutch SME has been able to become the first company in their specific technology production. And they are really worth going forward a big leap towards the Netherlands and Norway. Yes, I hope I made it in time.
Yes.
I have to say many more, but no more time left. Any questions?
So I'm just checking, but I don't see any question in the chat or in the answer and question session, but please feel free to write if you have any question, and we will be pleased to give you the answer. Okay.
So I have the privilege to be able to raise my voice, so maybe I'm going to ask you a question. So thank you very much to already sharing that this has been great for investors too, and this of course also is great for the SMEs then, if they find investors via your network. Yes, so I mean, it was not really a question, it was rather a comment.
Yeah, maybe just to point out, Tetramax is a specific system to financially support SMEs here, and we have different ideas for technology transfers within a very limited time, and the financial support has been only kind of a little seed funding, you know, to start with an innovative idea and to make something bigger out of it. And what we found out is really giving them this seed funding as a first step, and then to connect to potential investors. That made quite a good idea towards connecting them with a further step forward. And this is also what we did with collaborating with other funding programs and other funding authorities on a national and cross-border level. Any other questions or issues?
No, Isabel, you're still muted.
Oh, sorry. I said thank you. Just trying to mute. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Eva. So if there is no more question, I think now we can go to the next project, which is the Smarties project, targeting flexible and wearable electronics. As a matter of fact, it's a sister project of a phase 2 project, which was called also Smarties. And it's now going to be introduced by Jérôme Gavillet, its coordinator. Please, Jérôme.
Yes, thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, all. So Smarties is a digital innovation hub fully dedicated to flexible and wearable electronics. This project was funded as one of the third wave of DIH and the Smart Anything Everywhere. We are 14 partners in total from 9 countries. We have 8 research organizations, 3 business partners, and 3 regional networks for a total grant of 8 million and a project lasting 3 years. So one of the major outcomes of the DIH of the project is to launch and deliver a total of 47 application experiments with SMEs or mid-caps, and with the support of a total of 2.9 million euro of cascade funding. We have an open call with 5 cutoff dates. So you see here the calendar. The 2 first ones are behind already, and the next one being mid-January next year. So Smarties, indeed, as you said, Isabel, is not a standalone action, a first of a kind. It is actually part of a longer history that started back in 2011 with the first CSA action called COLAE. COLAE standing for Commercialization of Organic and Large Area Electronics. So that's what we call the phase 1, the preparation phase of consolidating the first competencies, mainly gathering the major research organizations in Europe on the topic. Then came the time of the pilot lines within scope and liters, when we were basically consolidating the capacities, turning the technical, the capacity into technical services, climbing up the TRL scales, and starting serving SMEs, the industry, with a small prototyping projects. Then during that same phase 2 of initiating the network, we had the first DIH with Smarties, when we actually consolidated the tech services with business services, and also we had cascade funding to implement and support experimentation on SMEs. Then it's coming now the phase 3, what we have called the continuous growth with Smarties 2, with an enlarged scope. We are enlarging the services, we are enlarging the types of services, yes, and the third-party targets, and we are also integrating regional clusters, so to prepare the European DIH that were mentioned by Matthias earlier, and to establish or to prepare some trans-regional collaboration. And we are now in the phase of preparing the sustainable phase beyond Smarties 2 that will go through the creation of a European association. So here, just a few words about our ecosystem, which is available online. So you see there are 3 windows to that wall. One at the center is a registry where we are registering all organizations joining our ecosystem. So you're obviously welcome to go there and visit the place. And then we have these 2 types of services. On the left, you have the technical marketplace with the technical services. I will come back to that. And on the right, you have the business marketplace with the business services. So shortly here, you see the registry. So you have a menu on the left-hand side that enables you to search for organizations, members of the ecosystems against different criteria. And here you have got just a few examples of organizations already inside the ecosystem. Then if you go to the technical marketplace, you will see here 3 offerings, basically, 3 types of offerings being either products, so available commercially, prototypes, which are first of a kind products or product concepts, as well as technical services, which all are covering organic and large area electronics, but also structural electronics, smart textile, and manufacturing technologies. Okay, so here again you see a few examples, but you are welcome to go and visit this place. And then the business marketplace that has just been open. Okay, so similarly to the previous one, you will get a menu with a typology of business services, and we are starting populating this page with service suppliers. So all organizations inside this ecosystem, all tech and non-tech services are being activated as well inside the application experiments to supporting the selected innovative companies. Here, a few numbers, the size of these two, okay, it's always good showing Smarties and Smarties 2 as a succession of two actions going the same direction. So you see, okay, size is increasing, the figures, the financial figures as well. What is important to note here is that in Smarties 2, indeed, we invited the regional clusters to join the consortium as partners to create this trans-regional collaboration. But also in Smarties 2, in in dark red at the bottom right, you see we are also considering third-party suppliers of services, which was not the case inside Smarties 1. Here again, some more numbers. First, at the top in Smarties, we were proposing testing and prototyping to companies, to the industry. In Smarties 2, we are enlarging the service to upscaling, to access to manufacturing processes. In Smarties, we are supporting 20 application experiments. It is 47 in the new project. You see that the financial support is slightly less in Smarties 2, up to €125 per project. And the blue and orange are splitting. I won't get into the details, but that's the scheme, the financial scheme for supporting third parties in Smarties 2. If you are interested, please come back to me for the detailing. Then here again, our calendar. So you see we are now close to the third cutoff. Time is passing very quickly. It's from the first cutoff, we selected 10 companies. We engaged 10 companies. In cutoff 2, we had 15 applicants, and we are in the process of making a selection. And cutoff 3, we'll see. And finally, my last slide is about the customer journey, to the attention of whichever third party would like to join in Smarties. So first, looking at the schematic from left to right, you see there is a first phase where we invite third parties to contact us for opening discussion, to go through the help desk, and we will be reactive and supportive. And then we'll do a first screening to check if applications are relevant or not. And if so, we invite the applicants to submit a proposal. Then we get into this first phase of evaluating and selecting the proposal that takes more or less 1 month. Then we announce the successful proposals. And subsequently, we get into this joint service planning. So this is a contracting phase, which is to last 2 months, at the end of which we will sign the contract, which is called the service delivery agreement, the agreement. And then the application experiment starts. And this project will have to be between 9 to 12 months maximum. And then we will do some final reporting, analysis of the outcome of each individual application experiment, but also we'll address the created value at the portfolio level, and also envision how to replicate possibly these early cases to a larger scale, integrating, the early majority concept, and duplicating the business, and so on. So I think I'm finished. Michael, I don't know if it's 7 minutes.
Yeah. Yes, it's been great. Exactly. More or less exactly.
6 or 9.
Very good. So again, I'm not really finding question and answers here. No. So maybe just an overall comment. So Smarties is already in the second project, so Smarties 2. So you've continued with the wearables and flexibles. And maybe also for the other people to know, it's of course very good to have people so deeply rooted in the ecosystem. Tetramax is also having started even before Horizon 2020. Jérôme with the Smarties from SAE is deeply rooted there. And now I'm also, again, have the pleasure to introduce Isabelle Dorr for the next presentation. And I must say also Isabelle, she's been in all 3 phases, like being in EuroCPS in the first phase, in FED for SAE in the second, and now in DigiFED in the third phase. And I'm very happy also to have both of them in the CSA, because we can really, really discuss lessons learned and give advice to other people very nicely. So this is also an offer for the other innovation actions to really come back to us with questions on such experiences. Okay, but then we can move to the new CPS one, which is the DigiFED. And yes, Isabelle then is gonna present this one to us. Isabelle, floor is yours again. And you're still muted. And you're still muted. Yes.
So now it should work, and I'll have to show my slide again.
Nice cat.
Okay, here it is. It should work now. So I'm mainly focusing on the DigiFED project, which is the 3rd project that CA is coordinating under the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative. Aiming at digitizing Europe's industry together. So it's a project that gathered 12 partners from 9 European countries, as we are quite familiar with RTO, Research Center, University, and Industrials. So it's a 3-year project with the 8 million euros budget, and half of it is dedicated to support SME, startup, and mid-cap under a different program. And as a matter of fact, the DigiFED proposed 3 main innovation pathways. The quite, I would say, standard, we are used to application experiments that we have been practicing for at least, it is the 3rd time we practice application experiments. And then I add in 2 new challenges, which one is a digital challenge, as we will see shortly, is to, on top of EC funding, to add some industrial funding to work together. And the 3rd one, I will not really comment, is just starting, is a generic experiment where we'll try to combine both EU funding and regional national fundings. So application experiments, well, it's kind of what we are more familiar with. It's targeted companies which are either non-digital or less digital or more mature in terms of digital technologies. That kind of project is the combination of one companies, one technical partners, which can be brought either by a research center from the consortium or by other SMEs. And then with innovation management, which is something which have been added on the time and which appear to be very successful. For that kind of program, the funding per company, when I said company, it's SME, starters, or mid-cap, is 55 kilo euros, following the rules of the 70% fundings. So as I mentioned, we have 2 types of application experiment. The one we were really used to is a single one where you have an applicant company that wants to develop a CPS innovation, has a clear vision of the market, needs some technical support that can be provided from a DigiFED technology partners, and it has to be cross-border. And then we're handling new kind of project, at least for us, is when you have 2 companies from 2 different countries, cross-border, that are going to work together and to bring project where one of the company wants to develop a CPS innovation, has a clear vision of the market, but need complementary expertise to validate the concept. And then this complementary expertise can be brought by another company. In that case, no DigiFED technology partner is involved. DigiFED partner are involved for the innovation management, which is brought in any case, and also just to make the monitoring, just to make sure that everything goes well. And of course, we're trying to select a partner who is very much close to the technology, or has some interest in the technology. Well, it's just to give you an overview, we have different kind of partners. We have different kind of technology offers, from cyber security to more hardware system to industrial security. We have some industrials like ST, France and Italy, University of Ljubljana. We have Digital Catapult, which are more bringing focus on 5G and IoT network testbed. The digital challenge, as I said, is something really new we are launching. So the goal is to highlight attractive markets that needs to be addressed through CPS and embedded system, for which a new solution is required. And in that case, it's not only DigiFED, but there is collaboration between DigiFED and what we call a DigiFED owner, which is a large mid-cap European-based company that has identified a specific business need, we call a digital challenge, for which they have no digital solution. And no digital solution is currently available in market. So they brought this specific need in terms of an open call. And of course, then we will go through a normal open call process. But then the interesting thing that part of the funding is brought by DigiFED, and the other part is brought by the digital challenge owner. So it's a combination of both funding. Well, it's just a few words to say that we are also bringing innovation management support to all the project. It is something that was introduced not on the first time, but second and third phase of the project, and which are very important in terms of strengthening the road to market strategy of the company to try to better identify and also to get further access to funding or attract private investors. So while DigiFED open calls, we have 3 open calls. And as I said, the cascade funding that will be dedicated to that is nearly 4 million. We plan to select 4 projects. The first open close is already closed, and it closed end of June. And the second open close is now open. It will close by mid of December. For the second open call, we have this single twin application experiment open calls, more classical, and we have opened our first digital challenge. You will find all the details on our website. And we plan to have a third call in next year. Just to give you an overview for the first open call, so it was only application experiment. We've received 72 proposals, 14 were selected, and they do involve 22 EU companies, because when it's a single project, it's only 1 company, but when it's a twin project, we involve 2 European companies. 1.15 million euros were devoted to that. And then you have a few sketches just to give you an idea of the size of the company. So in the 72 eligible proposals, well, the majority was small SME from 1 to 10 people. We got some startup and some SMEs, and you can also realize some mid-cap. It was very interesting to notice that the mid-cap were mainly introduced through the twin project, when you have 2 companies working together and building a proposal. Well, we selected 14 selected proposals, and while you see that it's quite equal between startup and SMEs. To our surprise, finally we get we get as much as in the selection, we get nearly as much as twin as single proposals. And you can see on the right hand side that the application domain is quite wide, because we have no limitation except for the single. The only limitation for the single is to rely on the technical support we can bring. So you can see that then the application domain is quite wide, from IoT, smart connected object, to transport, mobility, health, packaging, safety, security. And then I would like to end up with shortly with two success stories coming from the 2 projects that were before DigiFED. The first one was EuroCPS, so it was really at the launching of the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative. So this one, is a project that was involved a Hungarian company, Hungarolux, BME, which is our partner in Hungary, and Intel, and the challenge was to build very innovative street lighting compared to what we have in Europe, focusing on LED street light technology development project in order to have something which is more reliable, which is less effective, which is less consuming. So they developed a solution, and it ended up with this Hungarolux company having some contract with some city in Hungary just to develop a full test bed. And we heard from our colleague BME that they have been very most successful in that tab, and they continue the collaboration with BME on a very successful way. The second success story is from FED for SAE. So it's involving an Irish company, Glanta, Intel, and the CA. And the perspective of this company is to develop an over-the-sink hand wash monitoring. So it was nearly 3 years ago. So you see, it was quite they were quite visionary with the situation right now. So of course, the collaboration with CA Intel helped them really to develop their prototype, fully working prototype, and working together with the innovation management support, they really strengthened their roadmap with design to cost analysis, that they realized that what they were targeting in a short term was still too expensive to be really in their roadmap. So they had to kind of put it in the longer term, that they really work on that and they really define and work on the price of the industrialization. And then they redesigned their roadmap, taking into account that what they were planning in short term has to be in longer term, and that in meanwhile, this training operation, this what would be really the roadmap to follow. And also thanks to CA ecosystem, they were really put into contact with the French nursing home company, which is Korean, and they really work with them, and they were able to deploy their prototype in situ to have full validation from really not a real company, but it was really a real testing test bed. Yeah, and I will and I will ended up my presentation. I hope I've not been too long, and otherwise, thanks very much for the attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Isabel. So maybe just as I've seen that again on slide 10 now here, so the rate of proposals was quite high. This is maybe, we were wondering if COVID here is a risk that the SMEs would not have the time to apply, but it seemed to have been the other way around. They have applied very much to all of the innovation actions, I must say. So this is maybe just an outcome interesting for everybody. And then I have a question for you from the chat. So specifically for the digital challenges, for those calls, what is the TRL targeted there? I don't know, you can say at the beginning and at the end, maybe. I don't know what the question was, but maybe what is the TRL, the technology readiness level, more or less, that is expected?
It's the same that for application experiment problems. So at the end, it's really to reach something which is up to TRL 7. I will not say from a technical point of view, I'm not so familiar with the topic, but well, the information is online, and well, if this the person who is asking the question really want to get more deep details, then I will be very pleased to redirect the question to the person who is in charge. But it's like for the other one, I mean, you already have quite advanced problem. It's not starting from zero. It's not full research, and it still is in the same I would say scale between TRL 3 to TRL 7, and it is really in the same domain, I would say.
Okay, and I do have another question for you, and I need a quick answer there. So this is from Javier Salazar. What kind of activities are included part of the innovation management support?
So in the innovation management, it's going to be, I mean, it's the objective is to be quite tailored to everybody use. So first, there's some kind of general, well, agreement on the roadmap, and then it can be really depending if you are more looking for customers, if you are more looking for investors. So it's just first to give you a reflection. Where do you want to go? What are your input? Well, just to be sure that this is finally refined. And for instance, if you are really looking more for customers, then they will help you to pitch, and they will also introduce, and you will be introduced to the ecosystem, not only of the partners that are involved in innovation management, but also with all the DIH which are involved. And it's where we are, I mean, that this is also something which is very important, because we have at least 4 DIH which are involved in the project, and the objective is really to connect with their own ecosystem to bring you if you are looking for customers. On the other side, if you are more looking for investors, well, there is some dedicated pitch training by our the partner in charge, Blue Morpho, and then they're also trying to work with you to find the right investors, and they will also prepare you to some specific event, like the Info Venture event, which is taking place this week, and they have also been working because they are really much involved in contact with investors. So when they know something, they work with you, they prepare you, just that you are in the best position to meet investors. But then the purpose is we have kind of common framework that I can share afterwards, and then it's trying to adapt it to what you look and what we need, because from our past experience, it really depends on the company. Sometimes they're looking for customers, they're looking for end users, they are looking for investors, or sometimes just discussing with them, you can put them in contact with other companies you are aware they're working with, and they find a good match. So we're really trying to tailor it to the SME needs.
Okay, thank you very much. So we would now move on. So this is to Peter Gorm-Larsen from Aarhus University presenting the HUBCAP project to us. So this is also in the area of CPS. And let's try to see you. Yeah, you're starting sharing and we can see it. You can still put it on.
Very good. So,
great.
So I'm Peter Gorm-Larsen. I'm the coordinator of the HUBCAP project. And this is not a continuation project like the previous ones we have seen. So we have continued from the technology that's been developed in different research projects. So one of the things we have experienced is that in order to create a revolution in development of cyber-physical systems, it's necessary to think into what's called model-based design. And in particular for SMEs, getting into this kind of technology can be a hassle. So what we're trying to focus on here is a project which is supported with 8 million euros, and we have partners in 5 different areas. We have a network of digital innovation hubs. We have a number of seed SMEs that are trying out a new collaboration platform, which we are trying to enable to make it easier, in particular for SMEs, to develop model-based design. And this model-based design is then being supported by tools, training, and it can be done inside this collaboration platform. And the uniqueness here is a sandbox capability that enables people to, instead of downloading things to their own computer, they can try it in the cloud directly. We have 3 kinds of open calls. One is very unusual compared to what you have seen in the other ones, but there are also things that are similar to the application experiments you have seen from these 2 other presentations here. So the challenges for SMEs getting into this kind of model-based design is that there's an initial investment. They need to kind of choose what notations, what tools do they want to use, need to download, install the tools, and whatever they depend on in terms of Java or Python, for example, need to buy licenses and for internal seats, and they need to train internal stakeholders. And the other challenge is that main benefits do not necessarily come in the first project. And the business model, in case they want to move towards autonomy, is really unclear. So what we are trying to do here with this collaboration thing here, this is to support the use of model-based design, adding models and tools to the platform, and having collaboration with the digital innovation hubs that supports actions in this setting. And then the SMEs can get funding from the open calls. And then we have a plan for sustainability of the action by letting the collaboration platform after the project be run by a non-for-profit organization. So in general, if you take this collaboration platform, it has the usual kind of marketplace, knowledge management, and be able to identify yourself. But the unique part is a sandbox capability, which enable you to run selected tools and models that you can get from other sources directly in your browser. And you can combine them where they are actually able to only run on different operating systems. So the way HUBCAP can help SMEs is that we are limiting the initial investments for newcomers because they can get this online capability free to use. In particular, those that are SMEs that are collaborating with larger organizations, we see this collaboration platform as a major advantage because you can pay as you go rather than pay license per seat. And essentially, that's a way of trying to lower the initial thing, try before use, in a sense. So we can also help SMEs getting started with their first projects using this kind of model-based design techniques. And then the digital innovation hubs will be supporting them. But since they have different strengths, they need to collaborate. We also have the possibility of getting funding to the SMEs using these open calls. And then in order to getting things filled into the collaboration platform, we have some seed SMEs, but they, in addition to that, some of the open calls are dedicated to give small amounts of money to SMEs who have an interest in putting their assets into the collaboration platform. So we have 3 kinds of calls. The first call, pull calls, essentially is a matter of filling the platform with assets. Here we had the first one has closed. We selected 21 applicants. Each of them are getting €1,000 to get their platform, their assets into the platform we have. We have a second call open now. I'll come back to in a minute. And then we have 2 other calls. One is with two SMEs working together, very similar to what we just heard about as a normal application experiment. And then the last kind of call, which are significantly bigger, this is a consortium of different 2 to 3 SMEs together that are actually trying to innovate to a larger extent. And then the point is that the assets that they are producing should be applicable again inside this collaboration platform. So the open call we have right now is this thing for getting a lump sum and getting support services and be able to sell your model-based assets, either models or tools, in the collaboration platform. Rather than paying once and all licenses, you'll be able to be paid or refunded by the use that you would have of your stuff in here. And early next year, we will have our first call for the application experiments. So I think that was what I had to say. I kept to my 7 minutes. I'm pretty sure of that. There are possibilities of joining us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and I hope that you will have an interest in some of the stuff we have been talking about here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. So do we have any? Okay, I don't see any question in the chat or.
Good, they can always put them in there later.
Micah, do you have any question? Okay. So now let me introduce you our next speakers coming from the DIH for CPS project, and well, our last project on CPS in the Smart Anything Everywhere for the running period, and this one based on the economy, technology, and BRIC models. So please, Rita, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I will share my screen. Can you see the presentation now?
Not yet. Do you want Dora to share it, or will you try again?
Okay, let me try again.
Okay, something happening.
Perfect.
Yes, perfect. I put it in presentation mode and then it's perfect.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Rita Campos from Uninova, who is the coordinator of DIH for CPS. And our main focus, as the title and the acronym describes, is digital innovation hubs for cyber physical systems. So the project started in January this year. Our main vision is to support European companies in having access and being able to validate cyber physical technologies. And for that, as it has been said during this session, they would welcome the support from digital innovation hubs in order to test and validate this technology before fully adopting in their companies. So this is our vision, so to say, for the project. So just some numbers. So the project runs 3 years, has 8 million funding, and it has 1.8 million for 2 open calls, which I will briefly describe. We have 33 partners, and almost half of them, 15, are SMEs, and we're covering 10 European countries. So the initial network of DIH for CPS includes 13 digital innovation hubs from 9 different countries. who are involved in the application experiments of the project, which I will also mention. And our objective is to grow this network during the project, but also incentivize this network to collaborate with the other projects so that we grow from local, regional, national, and European full network of DIAGs in several areas. So we have 11 application experiments with which we started the project. They cover 9 different countries, 7 different sectors, so they're very, very different. What they have in common, as I said, is that they are all testing or validating or experiment with cyber-physical systems. And we have defined some topics, but these include digital twins, artificial intelligence, smart sensors, smart dashboards, and they cover several sectors, as I was saying, anything from tourism to aquaculture, to construction, to agriculture, to machine production, entertainment, food processing. So this is a very wide range, which is very interesting and provides very nice collaboration within the project itself. And then we have 2 open calls. The first open call had the objective, was launched in April this year and closed in the end of August. I didn't include here any specific numbers because we are finalizing the evaluation of the open call. I can tell you that we had 46 proposals for application experiments. So these were concise proposals. We had the consortium could have a maximum of 3 partners, one of each had to be a DIH. And we were looking for experiments that aim to validate or test against cyber-physical technology in companies, in whatever sector or region was possible. And we are looking to add 10 application experiments to the project or whatever the budget allows for. So there was a maximum cap for the amount of funding that each proposal could ask. And we are finalizing the evaluation now. And our objective is that these proposals will fully join the project during the next month in November. And then we'll have a next open call next year, which is when you compare funding. So in terms of budget or of resources, monetary resources is much smaller, where we will only look for new DIAGs to add to the network. And the purpose there will be to either cover areas of cyber-physical systems that we might be missing, or even cover business services that might support the existing DIH for CPS network. So the idea there would be to really achieve by the end of the project a full network with enough complementarity in this technical area, but also to support then the full validation of the technology that was developed. So 2 very different open calls in the project. Experiments and the network of the DIAGs. The project itself is also producing 3 results, which are our support to the network. So our support not only to the SMEs that are validating or testing this technology, but to the DIAGs that are also involved. So we are working in parallel and producing results, which will be tested by the network, the DIAGs and the SMEs. The first one is this network mapping, where we're defining competencies, technologies and platforms and collaboration conditions, so that it's easier to find collaboration or fostering collaboration. And then we are working on this ETB model to support DIAGs in defining their service portfolio in a structured way and also in an easy way that's easier for them to publicize what they're doing and what support they can provide to companies locally first. And then also that will also support them in finding collaborating DIAGs, which have complementary services to their portfolio. And then in the end, we'll have a user-friendly network navigation, which will kind of bring together these 2 previous results, which will be a a portal, so to say, so a system, more tangible result, which will be online and includes a sustainable plan to be online even after the project ends, which will be hosted by one of our partners, Ivy Lab in France. So this is what I had to present in a very brief way, the project, and I would welcome any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Rita, very much. So is there any question?
So not in the chat, but maybe I can say what is quite special about the project. What I've seen also now is that you did include SMEs in the consortium already to do those application experiments. So this is possible. So it doesn't always have to go via cascade funding only. So maybe just for also others to know, such a thing is possible. And then, yeah, you have some of those experiments set already. And the other thing is an open call for DIHs. I find this also very interesting. You're doing an open call to attract more DIHs to your ecosystem. Yeah. So very nice, yes, that I learned about this. Yeah, thank you very much. So if there's no other questions, Isabel, then I think we will move to the next.
Sorry. Then yes, so that's fine. Then we can now we can move to the next project, which is slightly different from the first we heard of, but very much complementary, as is focusing on boosting technology and business development in Southeastern and Central Europe. Please, Nikos, the floor is yours. So it's Project Smart for All.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, good. Let me share my screen. I hope you all can see my screen now.
Yeah, it's fine. If you, we have just seen your two screens, so maybe we can just have the.
Yeah, just give me a second. You are still seeing the two screens?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Otherwise, just, well, otherwise maybe you can just...
It turns out a bit complicated. Let me share my desktop. So
no, we are still seeing the two screen. Well, maybe you can just stay that way if it's not.
Okay, just give me a second, then I will fix it. Okay, I guess now it's better, right?
Yeah, yes, okay, very fine. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the invitation. I'm going to give you an overview of Smart for All project, the goal of which is to build a network of digital innovation hubs, but mainly focusing in a very sensitive area, an area of interest for European Commission and Europe in general, the area of Southeastern and Central Europe. Smart for All is a 4-year project with an overall budget of 8.6 million. And of course, it belongs in the initiative Smart Anything Everywhere, but it covers areas similar to Tetramax, customized powering cyber physical system and Internet of Things. The consortium is composed of 25 partners, mainly originated from South and Eastern Europe. We have partners that complement each other, ranging from universities, research centers, investing companies and private funds, networking organizations, NGOs, SMEs, and of course, existing digital innovation hubs. So what is the vision of the project? The vision of Smart for All is to build capacity among European key players, European stakeholders, which share different cultures, different policies. We're addressing areas that have different, of course, different geographical areas, but they have different ways of dealing with research and technology, and of course, different application areas. How do we plan to build capacity among the partners and the European consortia who are going to fund? This is done through the development of the funding of self-sustained cross-border experiment. Cross-border means that we are targeting consortia, we are asking for consortia, we are looking for consortia that will involve at least 2 countries in their team. And the idea is to fund them and support them with services in order to transfer technology between academia and industry and vice versa. As already mentioned, the technological areas are customized low energy computing and Internet of Things. The application area of interest for Smart for All are digitized environment, digitized agriculture, digitized anything, and digitized transport. The reason we have selected these 4 domains, application areas, is that according to the latest statistics that we had at our disposal, they seem to be at European level the ones that have received so far the least attention and the least funding. So if we try to visualize Smart for All and its target, you can see that, as I said, they were targeting, geographically speaking, southeastern and central Europe. The main, the 4 domains, the 4 application area pillars are the ones already mentioned, and bottom up, we're talking about customized low energy components, how they can be assembled in IoT and services related to CPS. On the top of the image, you can see some buzzwords that are very important for Smart for All. We're also addressing and funding applications related to sensitive social groups. We have specialized partners in this topic on board. We're definitely targeting the part of the digital innovation hubs related to skills and training, and we're fully compliant with the European Digital Skills Agenda. And all this stuff, along with the services that were offered, are available to the end users and to our partners through what we call a marketplace as a service. So it's a unique marketplace that it's offered as a service, depending on the type of application or the type of support we want to provide. So the main objective of the project is, first of all, to try and give access to funding for business sectors that are considered underrepresented, as I already explained. Unlock the southeastern parties, because we feel that this is some sort of a big area with lots of technology treasures that need to be discovered. So I would like to link colleagues from these areas, consortia from these areas, to investors and give them an opportunity to present and evolve their ideas and their prototypes. To do this, we are developing and offering new tools that will help them to have access to resources that are usually difficult for smaller companies to have access to, and of course services and access to funds, not only public through the open calls of Smart for All, but also train them how to acquire and succeed in negotiations with private funds. It is very important for the project to make sure that the sustainability of the applications we are going to fund continues after the end of the project. And in that respect, we are not only offering the funding, but also services for training, technologically, business-wise, ethics-wise, funding-wise, the consortia, in order to ensure that the next steps will be the right ones towards the commercialization of the initial prototype. I already explained that the support and the provision of services to sensitive social groups is very important for the projects, and of course the fully alignment of our training capabilities and services with the digital skill agenda as it is presented by European Commission. Smart for All has an extensive network of digital innovation. Hub intends to boost the technology and business in Europe by offering services that are related to the ecosystem. So this is done either through providing access to the Smart for All ecosystem, which is constantly growing. Where currently we have not completed the first year of the project, and we are talking about more than 215 companies that are participating in our ecosystem and in our services. We're also offering funding opportunities, not only through the Smart for All open calls through Cascade funding, but also access to local and European funding frameworks. One of the services we're providing is coaching to the consortia regarding ethics, and of course their connection with other networks and ecosystem that have technological or business capabilities that are complementary to ours. We have also a pack of business services where most of the services are provided through interactive coaching with the consortia. So we have business coaches that support them in order to make their investment, their prototype business friendly in order to reach the next steps they will have to follow. We are also providing partnerships in the ecosystem and business matchmaking services. This is very important because so far it has worked quite well, and we are currently in the phase of developing the next step where it will be AI enabled. We are developing algorithms for allowing matchmaking based on AI techniques and machine learning. And of course, we have also online training courses relating to business development. Last but not least, the pack of services related to technology, where again we have technological coaches. We're offering state-of-the-art infrastructure through a quite big high-performance computing center through which we're offering services and resources to the funded projects. And of course, we have again the matchmaking mechanism, but now oriented towards technology and providing access to relevant technologies based on the profile of its partner, and of course technical training. The heart of Smart for All, as I told you, is a marketplace as a service. It's a one-stop shop for supporting in all aspects mentioned so far the Pathfinder application experiments we are funding. It is not only providing services and support for the day-by-day management of the application experiments during its lifetime, but also mechanisms for guaranteeing its sustainability. Smart for All plans for the whole duration of the 4 years to deliver 67 external Pathfinder application experiments in 3 types of open calls. Universities, SMEs, integrators can apply in the different types. The 4 pillars are the ones I have already mentioned. The types of the experiments fall in 3 categories. The first is knowledge transfer experiments, more internship. The first call has already closed and we're in the final evaluation selection process. The second one is, and the third one are focused technology experiments and cross-domain technology experiments, technology transfer experiments. Actually, there are bigger projects, around 80,000 Ks per project. The first FTT call has just closed with 99 applications, and we are currently in the evaluation phase. And on top of that, the consortium will deliver more 21 FTT verticals developed by Smart for All in selected and complementary areas. You can always join our network either by joining our newsletter or matchmaking services, and of course always applying for our open calls and or making use in our marketplace. A full set of pack for social media is there. We're very active. We're announced and circulate a lot of information related to funding opportunities from Smart for All. So I urge you to join us and keep in touch with us. Last but not least, we have dedicated colleagues that are targeting special geographical areas as contact point. And given the chance, I would like to say that as not as a project, but as a Smart for All family, we are mourning about the loss of Professor Bella Fecker, which recently passed away from coronavirus, and it's a sad loss for the consortium. And he was one of the key persons in our team. So this is it for me. I hope I was on time, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much, Nikos. So I'm just checking if I can see any question.
So I think there is no questions, but maybe just to say a quite special feature here is that you have investors in the consortium as such. I think this is maybe very advisable, and I guess you will have a good experience with that.
Mike,
yeah.
Sorry to disturb you. I can hardly hear you.
Ah, better.
Okay. So the special feature, I would say that you have an investors in your consortium, and maybe next time you can also tell us about successes there or what, And also it's focusing on Eastern and Southern Europe, like the widening innovation action, which will also be the next one. But thanks a lot, Nikos.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. So now we are welcoming our last innovation actions, BOWI, which is also aimed at building a DH network based on experiments, practice sharing, and it's also focusing on these underrepresented regions in Smart Anything Everywhere and I4MS. Please, Sander, the floor is yours.
Hello. Thank you for getting the word. I'll try to share my screen. Let me know when you see the screen.
Yeah, it's fine.
Great. So I'm having some throat infection, so that's why sitting scarfed up. So I hopefully cannot infect you virtually. Hopefully you still have some time and attention for indeed one more project, BOWI project. It's a project about widening, so not addressing specific technological area, but more addressing about how can we collaborate between more mature digital innovation hubs, mainly located in Western Europe, and emerging, developing digital innovation hubs in Central and Eastern Europe, or sometimes also Mediterranean Europe. This is the consortium. So we have actually a base consortium with more mature digital innovation hubs and maturing digital innovation hubs from Central and Eastern Europe in the consortium. Our objectives are to create a sustainable collaboration between these digital innovation hubs, focusing on the wide I4MS and Smart Anything Everywhere technologies, so very broad. We want, therefore, to increase the capacity of digital innovation hubs to help SMEs with digital technologies. So by collaborating between mature digital innovation hubs and emerging digital innovation hubs, we hope that these emerging digital innovation hubs get better at helping the SMEs in their region. And we hope that this also helps to strengthen the regional economy and competitiveness. So for whom is this relevant and of interest? Well, actually for all kinds of digital innovation hubs that are interested in this cross-border collaboration. Mature hubs that have specific expertise to sell and to share, developing and emerging digital innovation hubs that are learning and want to learn how to develop or have access to specific technology competence areas that they don't have in-house. It's relevant for SMEs and mid-caps that can participate, again, through open calls here as well. Investment agencies and private investors who are interested in this international European collaboration. How can we initiate the cross-border technology transfer? How can we ensure that digital technology developed in one country can also be deployed in other countries, can scale, and how can digital innovation hubs and the network of digital innovation hubs help? And also for policymakers, it's relevant, especially in emerging Europe. How can policymakers help strengthen and support their emerging digital innovation hubs? How can they strengthen them, and how can they help connect them to the rest of Europe for this cross-border collaboration? Activities we do is try to create a single self-sustaining widening network of digital innovation hubs. So make sure that it's not a project collaboration, but beyond projects. Also here we have open experiments, 3 open calls, 60 different experiments. And here the experiments are not only to help individual SMEs, but to see can we help emerging digital innovation hubs in a cross-border collaboration to help SMEs, increase their capacity to help SMEs. And we want to make this sustainable and viable and have a business model for this collaboration with different kind of blended financing opportunities, so that we're not a one-off project. Well, what kind of principles do we use? How do we do this? It's all about building connections. So this is also what we as BOWI project want to facilitate for other project or participants, meaning access to another region of Europe. For mature Europe that wants to have access to digital technology stakeholders in Central and Eastern Europe, while we try to claim to have a good network of digital innovation hubs in whole Central and Eastern Europe to get access to policymakers, SMEs, technologies, etc. We want to support the developing digital innovation hubs to become the first technology access points for local companies. So local companies in the region can get help and support from their emerging and developing digital innovation hubs. And they should become region's opinion leaders to help the whole region in the digital transformation. So practically, we already had 1 open call for the specific regions in Central and Eastern Europe where we have emerging digital innovation hubs. The open call was just closed last month with close to 100 applications. This is the first experiment. How do our mature digital innovation hubs can help in these experiments, in this cross-border collaboration? And in the future, we want to have open calls probably beginning next year for all regions marked in dark blue. For SMEs to apply together with a local digital innovation hub for future calls to get access to this network, to new technologies, new support for cross-border collaboration. So our purpose, what we want to achieve is share experiences between the digital innovation hubs in working with SMEs. How do different mature hubs and emerging hubs, what do they have in common? What do they have different? Can we share mentors, share experiences, practices, digital audit technologies, etc. So experience sharing, it's all about community building. Collaboration is dependent on people knowing each other. So we try to build a community of digital innovation hubs where people know each other and therefore can more easily collaborate together. And lastly, very important, collaboration happens when there's a good business model. So now we're publicly funded through the BOWI project, but we want to be sustainable and we have to find the business model, the pricing system where collaboration makes sense also in the future. So how we're doing now, we have closed our first technology transfer experiment open call. We're still in evaluation. We'll have new calls in the next year, as I said. And through these open calls, there's an opportunity to get to know what's the added value of this network. What can you get as support for technology, access to finance, access also to facilities and know-how from the more mature regions. And we want then to open up this BOWI network, not just for consortium members, but for digital innovation hubs from mature countries and from emerging Europe to participate and to collaborate. And we would say this is both ways. It's also that the digital innovation hubs from developing regions should have access to knowledge, technology that could be relevant for mature digital innovation hubs. So it's a two-way collaboration, and we try to make this a sustainable network for collaboration of interest for investors about replicating technologies from one country to another. It's about policymakers, how to get the emerging digital innovation hubs in their region, help them structure them and make them internationally connected. It's relevant for SMEs to get support from their local digital innovation hub. So I want to keep it short. I think that's it. Feel free to contact me or any of our project partners to know more.
Okay, thank you very much, Sander. Just checking. No questions.
I also don't see questions here, but maybe just also for the others, the special feature here again is like the widening aspect, like having it in the countries so far underrepresented. But I think also to having the more mature and the less mature ones coming together. And if I understood correctly, you're not opening only for digital innovation hubs in other innovation actions, but for all other digital innovation hubs, right?
Yes.
These can be individual ones, not even involved in any projects by now.
Any hub, and you don't have to be a mature hub. You don't have to claim we're fully fledged, fully functioning. You can be emerging, saying, yes, we're in the setup of establishing our hub. We are still trying to develop our services, and we want to learn how to do it.
Yeah, very good. So I very much also like the idea. Yes,
Micah, we don't hear you.
With us.
Okay.
Okay. All right. But then thank you very much and get well soon. So hope you,
thank you.
Thanks for your availability anyway, although you're not feeling that well. Okay, so now we're moving to, like you've got a very good overview now on the SAE, Smart Anything Everywhere ecosystem and the running innovation actions there. And now you will only get a glance at the I4MS initiative, which in fact is a bit bigger. So they have more open or running innovation actions and a new round. The fourth phase has just started right now. But I'll let Maria Roca now tell you a little bit about that, about the I4MS ecosystem. Okay, we can see a screen already. That is great. And I give the word to you. We can also see you. So please go ahead, Maria. So you're still muted right now? Okay.
Sorry,
yes,
I was saying that thank you for the opportunity, that there has been many reference to I4MS today, so I'm happy that we are able also to present briefly the initiative. Just to let you know that, as Mike said, we always call each other the sister initiative, because at the end our targets group are very similar. In the case of I4MS, the initiative started in 2013. We are now in the fourth phase that just launched this summer. And we are targeting manufacturing SMEs, okay? They are similar to what Smart Anything Everywhere is doing. There are different innovation actions. We have 4 innovation actions that were funded under phase 3 that has still 1 open call open. And in this new phase, we have 8 new innovation actions that are tackling the technology areas that you can see here in my screen, okay? At the end, all together, all the innovation actions together, and we as a CSA helping them in all their objectives, we are creating like a common value proposition, because at the end, it's true that funding is important, but it's not the only way, you know, to keep SMEs going digital. We need also to offer additional services that can help that these technologies are really implemented and used in a daily basis in the SMEs that we are supporting. And that's why, together with all the innovation actions, we have created like a first version of the value proposition for the project, where you can see there are business services, access to new market, training. This will be one important pillar in this new phase. And also success stories, giving, you know, a prominent role to the SMEs that benefited. And again, there was also important activities that are related to the matchmaking opportunities, not only to get funding, but also to connect with DIAGs and other entities that can support in later developments of the application experiments. So here are the open calls that are currently available. As you can see, most of them are planned already for next year, but there's still Amable that has an open call that is foreseen for the deadline is the 1st of November. Okay. So if you are a manufacturing SME, you can benefit from I4MS. So first, if you have an idea on how these technologies, or you are interested in going digital, but you don't know exactly how the technologies or the technology that could be good for your SME, you can contact us. We can also share examples on how the technologies has been implemented in other SMEs. You will find all information in our community, where we are also going to share some trainings, activities for SMEs, especially related to raising awareness and knowing exactly what the different technologies can bring them, not only on the technology perspective, but also the impact that this can have in the competitiveness. Because at the end, digital transformation is not only about technology, but is also about competitiveness, okay? And then, of course, we will help you in getting funding, services related to digital transformation, and the different innovation actions will guide you through the technology acquisition. Okay. I don't know if I'm going too quick, but I know that I have the most difficult job because I'm the last presenter. So I'm trying to do it, as nice as I can from my home. And in case that you are a DIH, again, we invite you to join the community, because we are sharing a lot of information that can be very useful. Also, we are going to create a new role that is called I4MS contact points, because at the end, as Mike mentioned at the beginning, DIHs are at the core of the digital, the strategy for digital transformation. And we want to give them the role that they should have, Also, we are going to support in different training activities and contribute or support you in getting new clients to your DIHs. And also what is important, I think, and in order to differentiate yourself from it or of others, is that we can also help you in having more visibility, also having access to different networks, and of course, being included in the different activities that we are going to develop. Okay. So I invite you to visit our website and our community, and in case of questions, feel free to reach me or reach Mike. Okay, we are in close contact, and we are continuing this collaboration. So again, thank you all, and I hope that you have a lot of questions. Not now, but maybe by email. You can always reach me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Maria. So maybe just to tell the audience, so both initiatives are really very close to each other. We're collaborating a lot. The differentiating thing is that I4MS is in the FOF program, Factories of the Future, and is focusing on manufacturing, and that Smart Anything Everywhere is kind of open in terms of it can be health, it can be transport, it can be many other things, but also manufacturing. So this is kind of, there is an overlap. But anyway, I think for SMEs from manufacturing industry, for example, both would be very, very important schemes. So I'm not really seeing specific questions here. So maybe, yes, if you still have questions, you could put them in the chat. But I have maybe a question for Matthias there, which is concerning also the 2 CSAs. I don't know if you're still, I see you're still there. If yeah. So if you're looking into Horizon Europe now, will it still be the case that for a long time these themes will be kept very separate, or are you also thinking on even putting such initiatives together? Like, or how will the differentiation between them in a way change so that the areas are less complementary, or are there any thoughts about that?
Oh, well, complex question. Think that from the complementarity, it will be similar to what we have seen now in Horizon 2020. what's new is that from the Digital Euro program, we will have this Digital Transformation Accelerator that networks mainly the hubs funded by Digital Euro program, but also connects and supports the other ones, maybe not in the same magnitude, but also would be there to offer facilities and to increase the networking.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So yes, I would of course like to thank all the participants and to thank all the presenters very much. So as said in the beginning, everything is recorded. We will also be sharing this. I think the presenters will still get an email to really confirm that they are okay with this sharing of their slides and also with the sharing of the recording here. And yes, I would say, I mean, there's many upcoming events now for I4MS, also for Smart Anything Everywhere. You can contribute in various activities. It always is good to really check the innovation portal or the I4MS portal for things if you want to get active there. One of the next things I said would be the technology radar session for people who are interested in the technology radar and technologies and looking for future technologies. But there will be more. So one of the next also joined I4MS and SAE events will be the FX. So also related to this, and I saw AT also being on the participants list. So we're looking forward also to being there with our innovation actions and with our session. And I think, yes, with this, I don't know, Isabel, do you want to have a last word here too?
Oops. Well, not particular, just to thank all the speakers, and we are really looking forward to the collaboration and tight collaboration with all the innovation actions through many events. Well, hope to meet you sometime, but at least for the moment that will be virtual.
Yes, that's the same for me. It's really a pain we couldn't see you in person, of course, and we're kind of really hoping for that this is possible soon again. Matthias, you turned on your camera. Maybe you want to say a last word there too, or we can just
no, it was just for thanks and
saying bye-bye, which is good. Yes, maybe people can turn on their cameras to say bye-bye. At least we can see you like this then. Yes,
that's what the idea.
Okay, so very nice. So have a good further meeting. Like if you're going to stay in the HiPEAC conference, have an enjoyable day and hope to meet you soon. So bye-bye from my side. Thank you very much. Also, thanks to the organizers. It went very well with this Zoom and with you as the organizers doing this. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.